We're going to dive in today on how do you actually build long-term client programs without you feeling this need to constantly over-deliver. Now, let me start by saying I know there might be a little fear around having clients stay in your world for a really long time, but it is actually the most underrated strategy, because while everybody else is out there trying to follow the new marketing trend and learn all the new DMs and ads, I'm over here just doing the work that I was born to do, which is serve my clients, because I've learned how to develop such dynamic programs that actually keep my clients in long term with no manipulation, no scarcity tactics, but actually creating such a dynamic experience while making it scalable so I'm not over delivering. And for the first time, I wanted to share it all with you of how I actually design the programs and what you can do to create long-term client retention without feeling like you need to keep giving, because it's exhausting. And the truth is, your clients don't need it either. Now, let me just mention, having clients stay in your world is the best thing you could do for your business. Let's take, for instance, like a gym. One of the things that stabilizes a gym, that actually makes the business run, that actually makes them stay in business, is they have repeat customers. If a gym constantly had clients coming in and out every single month, they would not be able to make it. Their marketing costs would absolutely break their business. And I want you thinking about your business the exact same way, that your business safety actually comes down to you designing your business model, offers, programs in a way that clients naturally want to stay. Now, let me start by also saying that it's not bad when a client leaves our world. We don't judge it. We don't think it's bad. But there is a way to actually design your programs and your environments so clients do want to stay. And there's structural, pricing, and then actual experience within the actual container. So we're going to dive into it. Now, firstly, I will say this is directly applicable if you have a scalable group program or one-to-many program, which I do highly recommend eventually moving your business model to have some sort of group program. I think it's incredibly impactful for retention. I also think it makes your job a lot easier, and it is a great way that you start to build your community, which is where we are going in business, is people want to be a part of a community. Now, you can also take these same principles and apply them to one-on-one. They're just slightly different. So I just wanted you to have that so you can apply it the way that you need to. So let's start number one on a very tactical level, because everybody loves to ask, is let's talk about, but if they're in my world, why would they stay? It's the biggest thing that I see clients say. Why would someone stay if they already got the program? And this is what you need to realize. Your brand and your business is, you are not just selling someone on the result of a program. You are selling someone on the result of what is possible when the program is applied. And let's get really honest. No one is done in 4 months. No one is done in 6 months. Honestly, it takes time to actually integrate learning and actually see the results and the change in your life. And yes, sure, people can feel better, they can see some shifts, but they're not going to see radical life change typically unless over a period of time. And that's why actually people staying in your program is the best way that they're going to guarantee to see that. And this is a framework that I teach inside of my program, Wealthy Woman, where we talk about what we're really selling. And the truth is, someone comes into you at point A, and you are at the end of the program, they'll get to point B, but their real goal is B++. And this is what I like to call, when they apply the learning to the program, it's what's possible. So let's say, for instance, someone comes in wanting to feel healthier in their body, feel lighter, lose some weight, feel energy. Well, at the end of the program, maybe they'll lose 10 pounds, okay? Maybe they'll feel better, they have a good routine. But what do they really desire? They actually really desire being able to rely on themselves, being able to have a lifestyle of health, being able to say yes and no at parties, being able to attract actually that partner that they really wanted and their body was giving them that confidence. That's what they really want, right? Or when people come into my world, they say, okay, Christy, I want to be able to make more money in my business. I want to hit my 20K month. I want to hit my multi-6-figure year, okay? Great. And so let's say by the end of that the program with me, that they do hit their 20K, that they do hit the number that they want, or they're on the road to it. And then what do they really want? They want a business of freedom, right? That's what they really want. They want a business of freedom that gives them the life that they want. Now, that's not going to happen right away at the end of a program, and I'm honest about that. But what I can guarantee is if you stay in my world, it absolutely will happen, because I have proof of that with one of my mastermind clients who, for instance, just told me she had a 30K day, and she started with me when she was brand spanking new. And not to mention, it's the life she's built that she's so proud for the space that it's actually given her to live her life. So why is this so important in how we're designing programs? Because I first need you to understand how valuable that it is for clients to stay in your world. Because you're not just getting someone to one result, you're changing their freaking life. And changing someone's life takes time. I don't care who loves to sell you your 90-day thing. It's not happening. Your life isn't radically integrated and changing in 90 days. I can tell you from experience by seeing the clients in my world, every aspect of their life changes when they join my programs. But does it happen in 3 months? No. And I'm not going to sell that. But I can say if you stay, I know it will, and it does. And I have many, many, many client stories to tell you about that. So, firstly, it will benefit you. It will benefit you. It will benefit your business. It'll benefit your authority. It'll benefit your testimonials. But it will also benefit you seeing the impact that you actually get to have on people, which is why I know you even created this business. So let's talk about how we're designing the actual programs. One of the biggest things that you want to do is you want to focus on different aspects within every program to actually have it focus that people want to stay. And this is what I love to call the us orientation versus the me. See, many businesses, without realizing it, are very much creating the me show, right? So that would be like you joining Wealthy Woman and it's all about Christy. It's all about you want Christy's brilliance, you want Christy's insight, you want to know what I did, why I did it, and how you can do it in your life. But that is not what I do, and that's what I've never done in my programs, which is why I have people in my programs in their 5th round in Wealthy Woman from my first ever round over 3 years ago. Why? Because I put the orientation on the us, okay? This is a huge thing that you don't realize of why people actually stay. They love being connected to you, but what actually makes people stay is they feel connected. They only need to be connected to at least 3 people in at least a somewhat intimate way that they feel, or just a collective whole connection, but they feel connected to the us of the group that they're in. And what this does is it gives someone a sense of belonging. And at the core root of every single challenge that we have in our life, the reason why we don't have what we want to have in life is because somewhere in life, we did not feel a sense of belonging. And so inherently, when we feel we belong, it gives us a boost. It gives us confidence, encouragement, motivation, ability to follow through. And you don't even realize how much that sense of belonging, that community actually allows your clients to see better results. This is why I literally use it as a selling point all the time, is people see better results in my Wealthy Woman program than if they were to just work with me one-on-one. Why? Because there is something different you get from being with other women and the way that I run it. And so what you're getting is not only inspiration, learning from other people, but you're also you're being in a room with women who are being stretched and who are also being really honest and vulnerable about what's coming up along the way in the business journey. Because let's be honest, it's not all rainbows and sunshines. It's real shit that you're dealing with, and we need to talk about it. And so by actually creating a community of belonging, not trauma bonding, belonging, people will actually stay over time. And if they don't feel a sense of belonging in the community, they probably won't stay. Number 2 is making sure that your program is stretching them in 2 sides. So something I love to think about when we're designing programs is we want to make sure that the person feels very stretched and that you're never lowering the bar for where they are. So this is a philosophy I use a lot in my programs. I use it a lot in my life, is hold the bar for what I say I want in my life, okay? So when I say I want this level of business and this level of freedom, I didn't lower that bar when my dad passed away. I didn't lower that bar when I had a baby. Sure, did my timeline slow down? Of course it did. I was dealing with a lot of life, but my bar didn't go down. And this is where a lot of people do that in business. By the way, side tangent, a lot of people lower that bar when life is happening, and that's why they don't hit their goals at the level that they want. And why, in my world, one of the biggest things that people get is they know I will honor whatever's going on in their life, but I don't lower the bar of what they said they want in life, because I truly believe in the potential of what's possible for people. And so you need to do that in your programs. You need to make sure you're designing the programs where they can see, okay, this is the bar of what you want, and then this is how you also hold them and be able to hold them through whatever it is that they're going through. The other thing I want to mention is you want to make sure that you have a dynamic, diversified way that people are learning inside of your programs. So what most people don't realize is that you're not setting up your program for a dynamic learning environment. Most people are doing what they've seen done, and that's why their retention mirrors other people's retention. And that is why, by the way, my clients' retention rates are insane. They're in the 90% because they mirror running their programs how I run my programs. One of the biggest things people get from being in my world is literally watching and being in the experience of how I run my programs, because there is a very specific way of how you run programs for results, connection, and for them being able to get the real support they need without you needing to always be available. So let's talk about that. One of the biggest things that I learned from running my program over 3 years ago to running the exact same program but completely different program, if you know what I mean, same title, totally different way it's run, is actually giving less support but more intentional support. See, most people don't really think about the level of design that goes into program design in programs. And it's actually the missing link to making what they do good, and people like them, and some people rave, and everybody raving. The fact that even when I have clients leave, by the way, my programs, they will say, this program was exceptional. You were incredible. And certain things that, whatever it may be, that they didn't stay, which really was one person all year long, so what am I even saying? So it really is how we design the programs. And that's the thing you really want to focus on, is how are you designing the programs to make them so diverse in a way that it's really creating a dynamic learning environment. See, what you don't realize, and this was a huge breakthrough I had actually in college, is that we have different learning styles. And so if you are not actually running your programs geared for integration, which means people learn in different ways, which means hot seat coaching calls and that video you want to give and a worksheet is not cutting it anymore. You need to facilitate change. That is your job of running a program. And your job is to constantly take the feedback. There's something we talk a lot about in my world, is take the feedback every week in your programs. What is the engagement level like? Who's showing up? People always say, wow, I cannot believe how many people engage, cameras on, ready to go in your programs. Yes, it's also part of the culture in my programs, which is also part of how you're designing it, is what is the culture that you're designing in your programs. And so you want to have diversified learning and be intentional about the culture. And so these are some very simple ways that when you are actually intentional about how you're designing your programs and the results that you're going for, you will not be over delivering. I can say from my own experience, I have plenty of women inside of my programs, and it's very doable in my life. It's very doable to give them a high quality experience. My re-sign rate would not be what it is this year if they weren't getting a good experience. It speaks for itself. That speaks for itself. And so what I want you to think about is be intentional about where do you want them being at the end of the program? How are you creating a diversified learning experience? What does the support actually look like, from the calls to the support in between? And we want to be very intentional about it. And are you stretching them on their limits of growth, of what you know that they can, and the deeper level of vulnerability and authenticity that they're actually craving and needing to be met with? And when you design programs this way, people will make better results, they'll be connected to you, they'll be connected to the community, and they'll naturally want to go, what is next? And that is what you want to do. You want to design a program so good that people ask you, of course I'm staying in. I just had, even just in this last month, 10 re-sign conversations with my clients. They were not sales calls, they were just us chatting, and then at the end they're like, of course I'm in for next year. That is what you want. You don't have to sell things, because the program and the experience itself is actually selling it. And what I will say is that it's really important that also you always evolve your program. I cannot even begin to tell you how much I put into program design and client experience all the time in my business. I never take a break from it, and it is very doable and sustainable when you're always just taking the feedback. So what I personally do is I have different clients in my programs that I can have conversations with. You're getting feedback of how engaged they are, is the feedback. The results they're getting is the feedback. And I have different things, for instance, like feedback forms and different forms to hear where they're at, but it's also giving me feedback of what they're getting and what else they need. And your job as a business owner is to constantly be a step ahead of what your clients are needing. Do not wait until they have problems to then go, oh, I need these things in my program. And at the same time, be clear who you're designing the program for. This is something that absolutely changed my life, is I realized my program is not for everyone. I'm not designing it for everyone. I could have anyone in it, but I have a very specific person who the program's for. And so the program is designed for that person to thrive. And yes, of course, other people can thrive too, but that's who we're designing it for. And when you design your programs for scalability and for retention, I promise you, you will not only love what you do so much more, but you will not have to focus very much on sales and marketing at all. You could literally just enjoy. And that's it, because you just get to do the work that you do because your program is running it. And that's how we create really incredible programs for community building and actual retention. And you'll make a lot of money. And guess what? You'll enjoy your time so much more. So if this resonated with you in any way, feel free to click the link below, and I'm happy to chat with you on how you can do this for your business.